How do you say your last name? Oops.
Hyvonen.
Hyvonen. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Wendy Melrose and Ellie Hyvonen. There's a difference between excellence and exhaustion. Today's conversation is for the woman who looks good on paper, the achiever, the overcommitted mom, the newly married woman, the college student, but inside she's tired of performing. My guest is Ellie, a life and health coach for women who feel successful on the outside but depleted from within. In college, she walked through deep physical and emotional sickness fueled by not just health issues, but crippling perfectionism, burnout, and the belief that she had to earn her worth. Healing didn't come overnight. It came through small, consistent changes that reshaped her beliefs and aligned her inner life with her outer one. Now she helps women stop living two lives and step into the identity-rooted wholeness. So if you've ever loved God but still felt like you're not enough, this conversation will feel like an exhale. So hey, Ellie, welcome to Healed Hope Called.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
So when you look back at the season in college, what was really happening beneath the surface that most people couldn't see?
That's a great question. So my hard season through college, it was really the outflow of struggling with Lyme's disease, a chronic illness that I had gotten in high school. And on the outside, there are definitely the physical pain pieces of that. It's a tick-borne illness. And I mostly just struggled at first with hair loss and a lot of joint pain. And even in classes in college, I couldn't write. I didn't have those fine motor skills. So I had note takers that would do things for me. And my brothers carried me a lot of those summer hikes and things like that. So those are the outside pieces, which are so true. But the inner piece is that the gut that needs so much healing, the brain fog, the anxiety, or just that discouragement that you're constantly having to keep up with something, whether it's a medication route or a natural route, or keeping up with a food regimen to try to keep inflammation down or a rash down or whatever it is. That's just a taxing weight to hold on top of college and life and figuring out what it is to live in a body that you can't fully trust, a body that's broken.
Right. Well, and you're the second person in the last week from the Northeast United States who is young and has dealt with Lyme disease when they were high school.
Oh, interesting.
And she has now a holistic practitioner because of it, because it really changed the trajectory of her life for people to listen to her. And so did you find, and I'm just curious, did you find, because it took 2.5 years to figure out what was really going on, did you find that to be the same experience for you?
Yes. So I was bit by a tick when I was 12, but symptoms didn't show up till I was 15.
Wow.
So when I first started getting symptoms, I knew that because I had had the disease seeping into my body, it was going to be a long journey of trying to get that out. So it really lies dormant. So it was a lot of years. All of high school was medication and cocktails of meds and drugs and trying to figure out that route. Then after high school, I was like, you know what? We're going natural. This is not where I'm going to be right now. I did not want to live like that. And so I totally switched routes. And that was a whole nother journey of maintenance and healing. And yeah.
Are you noticing that your life, so it's been how many years now, and have you been able, because I know it's one of those things that, we're able to control with holistic methods. Are you feeling like you're able to live life to the fullest now, or is it still something that affects you? Because everything isn't black and white, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say I'm at a pretty controlled state right now with pain compared to where I was tying shoes, putting your hair up, playing guitar, all those things. Writing is still extremely hard, especially after a few paragraphs. Those fine skills are just not there. And I still have those days with rain and with weather that I will have worse joint pain for sure. Only on my right side now, not on my left. I'll have this burning sensation. So there's little flare-ups. Stress will bring that flare-up. But in the long run, I am seeking healing through eating well, eating how our ancestors ate, needing to rest more. Rest has been huge. Hydration, a lot of these foundational practices, which is why I became a life and health coach, to come back to those foundations.
Oh, that's really beautiful. So when you've said a lot of women are living two lives, can you describe what that looks like to you personally?
For me personally, absolutely. So when I say that, I'm a very high functioning person. I have a lot of perfectionistic tendencies. I'm a recovering perfectionist, I like to say. And I think as wives and mothers, we are sold this lie and just maybe as women, we're sold this lie that we can do it all, that we are the ones who all day we can pour into our job, remember the schedules, carry the emotional weight of everything at work, support those people that you need to, and then you come home and you're still expected to care for a loved one, show up for everyone else, and you miss out on your own self-care and those key relational moments in the house. You're really missing what's most important in those evenings.
Hmm.
And that was definitely my reality, that I got so wrapped up in what I was doing, especially after college and those first couple of years of marriage and work, that you lose track of yourself. You lose track of caring for yourself well. And yet you're appearing like you have it all together on the outside, like you can do it all. You're so high capacity. But inside, I was guilty for caring for myself, not nourishing myself well, not focusing on what actually matters in life.
So how is it that you help people realize that they need to slow down and take care of themselves? Like, I mean, is it, 'cause we know that it's easy to say and it's a different thing to do.
Mhm. Absolutely. So that's the power of coaching. With coaching, it's a little bit different than therapy because you're not exactly just looking at your past as much. With coaching, you're looking forward to what you want and why you want it. So when I have clients come to me that are saying they're struggling with weight gain or fatigue or overwhelm in certain times of the day, or maybe just wanting to understand what proper nourishment for them looks like in that season of life, it will be a symptom. It will be some sort of a stress induced symptom. Maybe chronic illness is tied in with that, as that is also part of my story here. But as I'm looking at these situations, we do get really clear on what it is that that client wants. What is
Mhm.
their goal? And in the next 90 days, the 90-day transformational programs is what I'll do, one-on-one coaching with these women. And we'll look at what are tangible goals. And I'm going to be your accountability and your support in that, but we're going to be creating a system that is going to ensure that you are following through. Now, what's the difference when you say, yes, I know how to eat well. I know I need a nice balance of this, that, and that, a nice healthy fat, some protein, some carbs. Okay, we know that, like you just said. And we have the knowledge diet, but following through is a different thing.
Mhm.
So the key that I incorporate into my coaching is that we do habit change at the level of belief and identity change. So we have to go back to the why. We have to go back to why you want more energy. So therefore, we're putting in energy dense foods, or
Mhm.
why you need more presence with your husband in the night. So therefore, we're going to work on boundary setting and saying no to certain things. And then every session, we will always go back to that motivating factor, but we'll really work through 5 key steps of transformation in every coaching session that we have. We will always step back from our situation. We will always let go of a disempowering belief or of a problem from the last week that we're going to work on overcoming. We will always say yes to a new truth. We'll say yes to ourselves, a new goal that we have that week. And then we will put in place an empowered action. We'll take empowered action from that motivation. And it might be as simple as like trying to drink more water in the morning
Mhm.
or sleeping 8 hours. It might be something like that. And then setting up your accountability for that week. How are you going to follow through with this?
That's beautiful. So, as you walk through your own healing and now coach other women, have you ever had a moment where you thought, there's more to this story than I fully shared?
With another client or with myself?
Or in general? So, it could be, is there anything that you feel like there's just more to what you can share with the world?
Absolutely. I would say most often it happens about session 6 to 8 out of maybe 12 sessions, 90 days. When you get into some of those self-sabotage times of life, which I absolutely can resonate with as a very high functioning person. Even when I was so sick, at times I would still push through to do all the things, right? And actually neglect the most needed thing in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that with clients now as I walk through healing journeys and habit change with clients. We get to about week 7, maybe 8, and there are some little voices that start sneaking in. There are reasons why they're not following through, or I learned something totally new about that client that I was like, oh, I never knew that. This is probably why you're not something, right? Is a huge piece of their story that impacts us. Every experience impacts us.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes up a little bit later. And then you got to kind of reframe and get a little deeper about the purpose of our relationship.
That's awesome. So when do you think, what do you think about overachieving moms?
What do I think about overachieving moms?
Yeah, it's like, what part of your journey do you feel like could help them set them free if they heard it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. With overachieving moms, I understand. I am that person. I was especially that person. I think the biggest truth that ultimately I try to help work on clients with, we talk about perfectionism a lot, talk about how the key to perfectionism is throwing the key away. That unrealistic expectation is going to be a barrier to your process. It's going to be a barrier to your growth as the person that you actually want to be. So it's that double life conversation. You're like, I can do all these things. I'm this great mom. But there is another version of us often underneath, and we want to be authentic. We want to be calmer. We want to be more present. We want to be understanding of our teens, or maybe just at peace with our husband, whatever it is. Like, we want these certain things, and they've all gone to the wayside. So with these high achieving moms, as much as I do help them put in some self-care practices during the day, the deeper work underneath in the specific coaching sequences is getting a little bit more down to their identity. Like, why do you need more rest? Oh, you're overworked. Why are you overworking? Oh, that was the narrative you grew up with your whole life. Who's putting that expectation on you now? What happens if you don't go 25/7 hours a day? What happens? What's the nightmare that's going to happen? Or your fear? Okay, let's work through that fear now. Let's do a sequence about transforming that fear into a possible superpower that you have, and it'll move on from there.
That's beautiful. Well, it's interesting. I have a business friend of mine who had some family stuff come up yesterday, and she's like, I just went and visited this person in a hospital, and I didn't do work. I go, okay, your business will still be there tomorrow. It isn't going to go away just because you didn't do any income producing activities for one day.
Right.
And then she's like, oh, okay. She goes, but what about tomorrow? I'm supposed to go to a networking event. I go, do you feel like you're going to actually contribute, do anything well at that networking event? Or should you go visit your loved one in the hospital because that's more important? She's like, oh, okay. I'll go do that. I'm like, because we think that our business is like a fragile platter on a stick. And then you remove the stick, it'll crash. And it's like, it's actually more on a pillar. Now, if you let the pillar crumble because you literally don't do anything for a very long time, then it'll come crashing down. But 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, I even noticed in my own family when we had, the death of my niece at the end of February. I was I even knew, like, God even had shared with me, hey, we're going to spend some time together this week. I didn't know she was going to die that week. And I'm like, okay, look at you free up my calendar. I didn't understand why it was free.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay. And then afterwards, I was so tired because the level of weight of just going through something like that
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm going to go take a nap. And it was amazing to me how God took care of everything, even in my rest.
Yes.
And so it's interesting how when we allow our creator to do what he says he will do and we go rest, nothing's
Now, right. He promises to watch over us when we're sleeping, when we're resting. He knows we need it. I was just having this conversation with someone after church on Sunday. I think we're just meant to live a little more simply and slowly, because when we are doing so much, one thing to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, we just quite literally don't have time to receive whatever
yeah,
he's trying to tell us that day, or trying to give us and to gift us. We also
mhm,
don't have time to thank him or to confess and make something right. Right? We
right.
don't have those spaces. And so I think that in this country especially, I've spent a lot of time living in third world country, especially in Central America, and the pace of life is so different. And
Hmm.
for 6 months of that, I was working in a trafficking like rehab home for little girls, and there was no technology in this space. There was up in the mountains. It was a place of healing. It was totally just separate from everything I'd ever lived in, and slow paced. And it was beautiful. And it was the most relaxing, shockingly. I say it's the most relaxed time of my life, even though that sounds like such intense hard work, which it was. And the counseling and the therapy and everything was so hard, and yet so fulfilling, because it was the Lord doing the healing in these girls and through many means. But it was just a reminder to me that we live in a rushed society here. We lived in a very hit the ground crashing, never hitting the ground walking
Right.
timetable, right? Not ever allowed to be late. And we're always late because we're always rushing. And then our bodies are all stressed. And then we don't take care of ourselves. We don't eat slow enough. So our digestion's off and everything else that just follows suit.
Yeah, it's so true. And uh, I think that even though that was hard work up in the mountains, helping those young girls, because of the lack of busy and no technology, you didn't have the stress of all of at the same time as also healing. So you're able to focus on the one thing,
Right.
which was serving
Yes.
instead of also being, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So it's interesting. Like the more I tried to figure out how to slow down, but what's interesting is that I even found myself the other day. I was up till midnight working on a project, and my nervous system was so taxed I could hardly take
Right.
it anymore. But I'm like,
Yes.
I thought I was only like one task away from being done, so I one task myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost midnight, and I know better than to do that. Yesterday, I was a zombie.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
and it wasn't even. The thing is I did that Monday. Tuesday, I didn't feel. I was off, but it was Wednesday that it took for my body to go, stop it. And I'm like, okay, slow down. In every, today obviously I feel a lot better, but it's interesting that when we go past our boundaries, how our body's like, hello, hello, hello.
Yes. Yep.
Don't do that anymore. And I'm old enough to know better.
Yep. It's true. Our
Right.
bodies have amazing signs, and that's often all of those signs that clients will come with me with. They will come with all the burnout signs. They'll come overstimulated. They'll come gaining weight. They'll come exhausted. They'll come with brain fog. They'll come with poor digestion. They'll come with terrible sleep. Um, and they're like, we don't know what's wrong. And like, well, a lot of things are clearly wrong because your body's uncomfortable. Your mind is absolutely stressed. Like, stress is not just up here. It is very physical. Your sleep, your
Oh, yeah.
cortisol levels, your digestion, your hormones, your
Mhm.
balance, balancing of hormones, and your drainage and digestion. All of that is affected. So those are those first signs that your body is saying, hey, wife, hey, mom, hey, overachiever, hey, high capacity person. If you don't take care of yourself first, you will never be able to serve others as you actually want to do and as the Lord designs for us to do. Care for
Absolutely.
your body, care for your temple, and then serve me with it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned, in the when I was reading your intake form to be on the podcast, you had mentioned that you feel called to write a book, but you weren't sure where to start, right? Have you ever imagined what it would look like to steward this story into a book, not just teaching principles, but also sharing testimony alongside them?
That's a great question. I have definitely thought about how my story is going to intertwine into a book. I've been writing little blogs, and I'm always a journaler. I'm always a testimony writer. So I have pieces of my story written. And then I have some education piece. I have some experience piece. I do. But I don't know that this is the right time yet. But I haven't thought about that word that you just used, stewarding. I
Mhm.
love that word. I use that so much, to steward our health and our bodies, yes, but also to steward our suffering and our brokenness
Right.
is part of this world. We're broken yet blessed. So as I think about stewarding my story into maybe possible book later, that's inspiring.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where you writing what you're doing, it's already stewarding the story. It doesn't have to be in a bound book on Amazon to give
Right.
the validation it already has, because it's already there.
Right.
It's so beautiful. All right, one last question. If there's a woman listening right now who is exhausted from trying to be enough, what would you want her to know about who she is in Christ before she changes a single habit?
Hmm. What would you want her to know about her identity in Christ
Mm-hmm.
before
Before.
changing a single habit? Oh, that's such a good question. I was just reading this morning a book. It's called Living Fearlessly. And it's talking about to abide with Christ first means that you need to pay attention, and then you need to become aware of two things. You need to pay attention to, first of all, who the Lord is calling you to be, how he sees you. And then you need to be aware that we do live in a false identity. I am unworthy. I am not enough. I am always stressed. Whatever it is, or maybe I'm addicted to. Right. We have all of these things. That's not your identity. Those are just some actions that you're struggling with. Or
Mhm.
I'm overweight. What is that? What do you mean by that? That's not your identity. Right? You're just struggling in a little season of imbalance right now. Like, we can work on that. But the deeper question is, first, to abide with Christ, we have to pay attention to the true self. And I know it sounds cliche, like
Uh-huh.
in the world, be your true self. But in this case, I do mean that we have a true identity that God calls us in Psalm 139. He created us to be a masterpiece and to be loved and to be known. And he would not call us anything that he wouldn't call himself.
Mhm.
He has a lot of beautiful attributes that we share and that
Mhm.
are part of our identity. And so I would just start with that first identity piece, being whole, that we are whole in
Mhm.
Christ. We are mind, we're body, we're spirit. There's nothing in the long run that is going to break us and make us fully broken, right? We will always be whole. There's going to be some cracks, but in Christ we have wholeness. Not
Mhm.
perfection on this side of earth, but there we will. And
Mhm.
so it's just a beautiful place to be. You can have a few cracks, but you're still whole in Christ.
Okay. Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, Allie, thank you so much for stewarding your story with such honesty and grace. To the woman listening, you do not have to perform your way into worth. Healing is possible, wholeness is possible, and excellence does not require exhaustion. Remember, this is Healed Whole Called, where pain is not the headline, healing is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.